And battles are never won alone. They are won together. Because together is stronger. Tied tight, united we stand. In honor of one child's wish. And inspired by the fire in his fight. Join the kingdom.
Hey everyone, so this week's Q&A question comes from CoolBeans09 on Instagram, and her question was, how has this experience changed you as a person? Now, without going into too much details, I will be talking about this later on in the podcast, but without a doubt, this is the whole experience. It completely changed who I am today. I know not going through it, I'd be a completely different person. I know my priorities are different than what they would be. I have a lot different interests today than what it would be not going through it. I think the biggest impact it has on you is mentally. It forces you to you have two choices with it, and you can kind of use that as an excuse, oh, poor me, feel bad for me, and, just kind of drag your feet through life, or you can use it as motivation every single day, choose to remember those hard times as motivation and use it to create yourself into a bigger and better person. And it makes those, especially moving forward with life, I know from my point of view, I like to say, going through a situation like that, it never gets easier. It'll always be hard, whether it just happened or you're 95 years old on your deathbed. I think it never gets easier no matter what, but you just learn how to use it in the right way on how to create a better life for yourself. So I know for me, it took me a bit to learn how to do it in the right way, but now I choose to think about those tough times every single day. I'd say over the course of, the day, I'd say probably, depending on the day, what I'm doing, a good chunk of my time is thinking about those tough times, but it's not in a sad and depressing way. It's in a way to remind me to keep pushing forward, to motivate myself to keep getting better. Through the whole experience, it's made me be a lot more accountable for sure. I remember telling my billets this year out in Ontario, and I honestly don't think that they really believe me, and I don't think a lot of people have who I've told, but I genuinely can't get mad at another person after going through that. I don't blame others. I force myself to take the blame on everything, but not in a negative way. I just kind of choose to use it as just to better myself. I don't beat myself up over it, but I would say I'm really hard on myself through this, but I choose to choose to be accountable for everything in life, but not beat myself over it, because I think it just makes you a better person overall. So thank you very much for the question, CoolBeans09. I know I went a little bit off topic near the end, but remember, you guys can ask your questions on whether Instagram or Facebook or the YouTube comment section, and maybe we'll choose yours for the upcoming episode. Hey everyone, my name's Ryland Strauss, and welcome to the second episode of the KingJay podcast. Now in today's episode, we're going to be starting right where we left off in the previous episode, and I'll be going over the following months and sharing a few stories that goes to show how much almost a new life happens for a family once someone is diagnosed with cancer. So, once we got knocked out of playoffs in hockey, I remember one story that really kind of sits with me that I now like to use as motivation in my day-to-day life is both me and my brother, we both shared a bathroom in the basement. Both our rooms were in the basement, so the bathroom was on the way to my bedroom. So I'm walking to my room, and the door was halfway open in the bathroom, and I remember seeing my older brother standing there, and he's up against the sink, and he's kind of rubbing his head with one hand, and he's catching all the hair that's fallen out of his head into the other hand, and just kind of he never ended up seeing me, but the look that I saw in him was just, I've tried to describe it to myself before. It's something I've never been able to describe. It's a look that I've never seen from him before. It's the amount of times I've tried to describe that look, I couldn't count it anymore. But it's just kind of one of those moments where it goes to show, that was the first moment, at least for me, that I realized that he's not only suffering physically, but also emotionally and mentally. Just that look on his face, and it was almost, frustration, disbelief. It's, like I said, it's something I can't describe. I don't know the right word for it, but, because from before that, I only saw the physical aspect of that, hearing him in pain. And so that was kind of the first, moment that I realized he's suffering in other ways as well. So, moving forward from that, I honestly, not a whole lot happened in the summer. One main thing though was, I remember my parents and my brother talking about a possible stem cell transplant in Calgary, and for me, I kind of thought, oh, if this happens, he's cured, it's all done, he'll be all good to go back to normal 100%. But I was unaware, obviously, of how bad the cancer was for the first little bit, and this was just kind of one of those stories that goes to show. I remember walking to the convenience store in the summer with one of my buddies, and he was asking how he's doing, when the cancer's going to be done, because how I talk about it with my friends is, he'll be okay and everything. And obviously that sadly didn't end up being the case. But I remember telling him, oh, with the stem cell transplant and everything, and by the end of the summer he should be good to go. And of course that wasn't the situation. That you wish that's what would have happened, but it didn't. So moving into over the whole course of the summer though, my family tried to keep everything as normal as you can, and I think that was their goal, to not kind of alienate us from our previous life, if you want to say, our life outside of cancer, if you want to say. They didn't want to kind of completely rip us away from that. And so still baseball and hanging with friends, as normal of life as you can have while having a sibling battling through cancer. So I remember following the summer, going into the fall, it was kind of the first, I believe it was in that fall when it was when we really, at least for me personally, when you really get used to the whole situation. It's become your new normal almost. And as much as at first we weren't around, that was kind of the moment when we started to become involved. Kind of over time, you slowly start to get more and more involved and more aware of what's going on. So I remember that Christmas he was home, and he was in a lot of pain that Christmas. My little sister, she's a big Christmas person. It's the most important day of the year for her, I think, rather that or her birthday. But seeing that, and he was just completely out of pain, or completely full of pain, I should say. And my sister's just bouncing all over the walls because it's Christmas, and she wanted everything to be perfect on Christmas, so she's trying to get him out of bed at first. And I think once everyone, well, at least for my younger siblings, kind of realized he needs to kind of take it easy a little bit. It's not a normal Christmas anymore, and kind of let him rest a little bit longer, and we'll we can wait for him. And because normally you're ripping open presents at 7 a.m, but that year was a little bit later. You wait on him. It's something that you don't want to just kind of rush over him or anything like that. So over the course of the beginning of winter and everything, like I said before, there wasn't a whole lot that happened, but you just kind of get used to the hospital visits, the up and downs that come with cancer, with how it affects affects the patient personally. You know, one moment they're feeling great, the next moment they're completely down and out. And I remember in February, that after that following Christmas, Garth Brooks was in town, the country star, and both my parents are big fans, so my mom bought a bunch of tickets because I think he was in for about 5 nights. He had 5 different shows over the course of that time, so she bought tickets for a few different nights, and one night was for me and my dad to go. And I remember we were getting ready to go at home, just kind of preparing everything, and my older brother started to not feel too hot, so we were going to take him into the Stollery Hospital. And you know, on the drive down, you know, he wasn't feeling great, but I remember him dancing and everything and having fun. And once, it was almost like as soon as we pulled into the ER parking lot, he just kind of fell off the cliff. And at that point, it's almost something that you become used to, just seeing someone's kind of physical state change that fast. You know, one moment they're doing great, and the next moment, literally, you know, blink of an eye, they're kind of down and out completely. And you know, I remember, you know, we're rushing him into the ER, and you know, we get him in the room once we're in the ER, and he kind of, how fast he dropped out. You know, he ends up going essentially into a coma, you know, not being able to respond or anything, and just kind of being in a super deep sleep, however you want to say it. And I remember sitting in the chair and just I was so calm because of how used to it I was. It's kind of scary to think about. As much as you can never get used to it, you fully adapt to it because you have to. And my dad's told me a few times about this story, about how, you know, I'm sitting in that chair in the room while he's in his bed, and my eyes just kind of shot open for a second and realized exactly what was going on. You know, how he could very easily die at this moment. And you know, my mom and my siblings meet up with us there, and once you know, the doctors kind of told us that, you know, he'll be good and everything. And you also kind of get that instinct that, you know, he'll be okay, he'll get through this. And you know, just kind of a tough night for him. So once the doctors and everything kind of said, oh, you know, he'll be good to go, he's just gotta, you know, we just gotta get him going again. So me and my dad go off to the Garth Brooks concert, you know, have fun, had a good time, and then we come right back to reality, however you want to say it, and right back into the whole situation. And it's just kind of crazy to think about how, if this was just a normal, you know, if this happened to someone who wasn't battling through cancer or anything like that, you wouldn't have gone to that concert, not in a million years. But once you adapt to the whole situation and adapt to seeing them go up and down through pain and everything, and their body going up and down through situations like this, even, you become so used to it, it becomes part of your life now. So, you know, now one thing that kind of sticks with me through this is, you know, just pain in general. Once I saw my brother go through so much pain over the course of 2 years, it becomes something that you see the amount of pain that he goes through, and now for you it's almost like it's nothing. You think, not that physically it's like that, but kind of mentally that becomes your mindset. I know for me, you know, I personally have epilepsy, and one of the outcomes from it is I get really bad headaches all the time from it. And honestly, doctors no one really knows essentially why, but I just kind of come to my own conclusion, if you want to say, that it's from my epilepsy that I get really bad headaches almost all the time, pretty much every day. So it's not migraines. So whenever that's occurring or anything like that, I just kind of realize, you know, my brother went through 20, 30, 40, 50 times worse than what this is. So this is nothing, you know, just kind of shut up, keep going through with life, keep battling through. And, you know, it really just makes you realize how what you think is pain, it's not pain. And I just, not in a cold-hearted way, but I almost see that with in other people almost. It's not something that I intentionally do or do it out of in a mean-spirited way, but I just kind of, you see other people in pain, you want to help them and everything, but when you hear people complaining about pain, my initial thought is kind of, it's almost just like kind of, oh, you're good, just keep moving on, keep pushing through, you'll be fine, because I just think of my older brother all the time. I just think of the pain that he went through, and obviously it's a lot easier for me to say than someone else who didn't have to experience that. Once you experience it, like I said before, pain mentally becomes almost nothing, and because you experience that, it's just a whole new situation for yourself. So you hurt your arm or whatever, shut up, you're fine, keep pushing through. Once you see how tough cancer patients are, especially kids, like, pain is nothing compared to what they go through, and it just makes you so much more aware of how easy life is, how easy life should be, I should say. What you think is hard, it's not hard. You don't have to battle through cancer. Shut up, your problems are nothing. Get through it, you'll be fine. It's not going to kill you. Keep going, you'll be okay. So I know I've been going on a bit of a rant about this all, but I think the one takeaway I'd like to give you guys for this is kind of about what the rant I've just been going on is. What you think is pain, it's not pain. If you're able to, if you're unfortunately able to witness someone go through cancer, especially the younger people, the children, the kids and everything, if you think you're tough, you should go see them. Go see them fight through cancer and battle through chemo and radiation. Watch them get drained right out and keep pushing through, keep having a smile on their face. It's pretty incredible to see, and it's really life-changing. It makes you realize how easy life is, like I said before. So, seeing stuff like that, it doesn't physically change you, I don't think, but mentally it makes the biggest impact on you. And not only seeing my brother go through that, but once you're in the hospital and seeing other kids go through it as well, you see faces that you see over and over again, and you start to meet families and everything, and you see a whole group of kids kind of all fighting cancer, and they're all smiling and happy even in their toughest days, and they just keep pushing through. So what you think is pain, it's not pain. Shut up, you'll be fine. You're not going to die. You'll live. Grow up. Like, I know it might sound a little cold-hearted from me, but that's my look on it. Yeah, that's something that'll never change for me. Pain will always be something that, after going through that, it's my look on it is completely different. Pain is nothing until you experience people going through that, seeing them go through that. So what you think is pain, sorry I rant a little bit on this, but what you think is pain, it's not pain. You'll be good. So that'll wrap this episode up. So thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope you guys listening to the next episode. Thank you very much for tuning in to today's episode on the King J podcast. Whether you're listening on your favorite podcast app or watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and share with all your friends and family, as our goal is to grow this as big as possible, so we're able to reach this podcast to as many people as possible who are potentially looking for some guidance through a tough time in their lives, and be able to help fund future wishes for other kids in need, and just be able to make as big of an impact as possible. Thank you.
Join the kingdom.